What's up, Fiend fam, and welcome to another episode of Wellness Wednesday. In the last video, we talked about things to sharpen our mental reflexes and keep a positive mental attitude. I've been looking at my analytics, and it appears that most of you are in the 18 to 34 age range. For this video, I'm going to talk about working on our personal financial health. Number 1, create and stick to a budget. The very first thing that anyone should do to start working on their financial wellness is creating a budget. For many years, I went by the motto that as long as the bills were paid when they were due, all was good. This is exactly the wrong thing to do. When you budget, every dollar has a purpose. I can't tell you the amount of money that just went out the window unaccounted for because it wasn't part of my budget. There are so many ways to accomplish this. You can start with a simple spreadsheet in Excel. If you don't have access to Microsoft Office, never fear, there are other options. OpenOffice is a free alternative to Microsoft, and it comes with a spreadsheet program called Calc. OpenOffice may not have all the bells and whistles that Microsoft's offering does, but it is also open source, so it's constantly being updated. Plus, it's hard to argue with free. Another option would be to use Google Sheets, which is free and can be accessed from any device that has internet connection, but your mileage may vary as to how you want your personal information residing on Google servers. The last option I'll talk about is Mint, which is made by Intuit, the people behind the popular QuickBooks and TurboTax software. There's a mobile version for both iOS and Google Play, as well as the ability to log in through your computer's web browser. It's also free as well, and a great way of keeping track of things on the go. Number 2, pay yourself first. I know that things are tough for a lot of people right now, and expendable cash can sometimes be a moving target. That said, I firmly believe that everyone should pay themselves first. As long as no bills will go unpaid, there's nothing wrong with setting aside some for yourself each payday. So many people don't account for this and end up spending much more than they should. The trick is to be honest with yourself. Choose an amount that will allow you to actually do something with it, but don't hamper your ability to pay bills or account for unexpected small hiccups. Just as important is making sure you budget for this amount each time and do not spend more than it. It's also fine to stack it as well. If there's nothing you want or need above and beyond the usual stuff, there's nothing wrong with bankrolling it, and you'll have much more in the future. Number 3, invest as much as you can regularly. One thing I wish I'd known when I was younger is the power of compound interest. If you take nothing from this video, let it be this: start investing as much as you can, as often as you can. For example, if you start investing just $100 a month in a Roth IRA at 20 years old, by the time you reach 65, you'd have over $366,000 in your account. Bump that up to $200 a month, and you're looking at almost $750,000. Just to put it into perspective, if the same person waited until they were 40 to start putting in contributions, they'd need to put in $417 a month or $5,000 a year to even come close to what that 20-year-old did by putting in only $100 a month, but starting it 2 decades earlier. Again, I know that things are tight for a lot of people. I don't want people to invest instead of putting food on the table. But at the same time, I hope that everyone can try and find something to invest. $10 a week is $40 a month. Something is always better than nothing, and the earlier you get started, the better. Who knows what kind of retirement package you'll have at your employer? I wouldn't necessarily count on Social Security being there either. Done right, you might find yourself in a space where you can work what you want, when you want, and how you want. You can possibly retire early. Everybody thinks that they need a massive nest in order to retire. I say that's a matter of perspective. If you're willing to live simply, there's nothing saying you couldn't possibly retire a decade or 2 early. I'll never retire, it's just not in my blood. But there's a big difference between doing a job because you love it and want to, than doing a job because you have to. Number 4, use the snowball effect. This is a very important principle to follow when you have debt. Start with your lowest balance. Pay the minimum on each of the other debts and put as much as you can comfortably afford on that lowest balance. Once it's paid off, go to the next lowest balance, pay the amount that you were paying on the previous lowest balance, plus as much as you comfortably can. Much like the compound interest example in the last point, your payments will grow and snowball until you've got everything paid off. A good side benefit of this is that it allows you to see your balances dropping down, and you'll get a sense of accomplishment each time you pay an account off, then closing it. Paying off more than a line or two of credit and keeping it open can be a slippery slope, which leads nicely into Number 5, recognizing want versus need. Billions of dollars are spent every year in order to get us to part with our hard-earned money for things we really don't need. Who can remember the Super Friends, Scooby-Doo, G.I. Joe, He-Man, Thundercats, Transformers, and all the other cartoons of the 70s and 80s? They and the ones in the following decades were nothing but long-form commercials to get us kids to save up for or beg our parents for their toys. Unfortunately, as we get older, our toys tend to get much more expensive. That's where recognizing want versus need comes in. No, I'm not insulting your intelligence. I'm sure everyone watching this video right now can clearly tell the difference. What I mean is at a deeper level. Like I said, billions are spent to get us to spend even more on consumer goods. In many ways, this is rooted deeper in the psyche. Once upon a time it was called keeping up with the Joneses, now it's morphed into FOMO, or fear of missing out. I've been there myself, believe me. If I had $1 for every time I got into a hobby or endeavor and jumped in with both feet before thinking logistically about it, I'd be able to start my own credit union. I'm not saying that we should deny ourselves the things we want in life, far from it. But I think we should definitely take a step back and realize where this is coming from. How many people do you know that can't use their garage to park their car because it's filled to the brim with stuff? Or better yet, how many people do you know that pay a monthly fee to rent out storage space to keep the stuff that they likely don't need, but can't bear to part with it? I'm not here to cast aspersions on anyone. I myself am in the process of weeding out all the things in my life that are just taking up space. Think of it like this. Would you rather collect experience, memories, and work on your relationships, or do you just want to collect stuff? Number 6, build a rainy day fund. We all need to be prepared for the unexpected. Just last month, the main electrical line in my house and our drain to the municipal sewer had issues, which led to over $1,000 in repairs. Thankfully, we were able to cover it, but it brings up an important point, building a rainy day fund. Start out small. Aim for $500. When you get there, aim for $1,000. This money should be free and clear of anything else. You shouldn't ever take it for expenses that are covered in your normal budget. The purpose of this money is strictly for when an emergency arises and you need it. Once you reach $1,000, start working towards having 6 months worth of expenses set aside. After that, aim for a full year. The plan is that when you get to that point, you can be self-sufficient enough to handle almost any unplanned situation that comes your way. Having a year's worth of expenses set aside will give you the peace of mind and allow you to consider many other things, like a potential move to another city or state, or deciding to change careers to something else. The flip side of that is that it can also act as a cushion for you if things go sideways and you find yourself out of work. 2020 showed us that just about anything can happen, and we should prepare for it as best as we can. Okay, that'll do it for this video. If you're new here, I make weekly content. Sundays are dedicated to motorcycles, motovlogs, and things of that nature. Wednesdays focus on wellness and other subjects that focus on positivity. If you like this or any one of my other videos, please consider leaving a like, subscribing, and sharing. It really helps out the channel, and I want to do as much as I can to give back to the community. For those that are returning, thank you so much. I appreciate you. As always, stay shiny side up. Throttle Fiend out.